And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Thursday, March 21st. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's a Thursday morning, a little bit warmer out there. I didn't see any frost this morning. Going to be a terrific Thursday, or a tremendous one, whichever way you prefer. We are on the air for Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road, the dealer that'll trade for anything it don't eat. Paul Tubbs is back with us today. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your baseball trip?
It was good. A little chilly, but wasn't much beach weather. But it was a fun trip.
Now you have two sons that played baseball. One of them is with Lebanon High. Is that right?
Right.
Which one's with Lebanon High?
Brody.
Okay. He's the younger one.
No, he's the older one.
Oldest.
Braden's 11.
All
He's
right.
the younger one.
Okay. Brady and Brody and Braden.
That's
okay.
it.
Well, but they both play baseball.
They do.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's enough of that. You had a good trip.
Had a great trip.
And everybody took care of things while you were gone.
It went well, very well, actually.
Ronnie Kelly is here this morning. Ronnie, it's good to get a little praise, isn't it?
Yes.
Good to see you, of course. Ronnie Kelly's in sales at Bates Ford. Been doing this for 37 years. Made a whole lot more than 37 friends, hasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Who get us started? You've been gone a while.
Well, I mean, I come back. Everything's in good shape. Our inventory looks very well. We've got a lot of Tony went out and got some used vehicles. We've got a lot of good trades coming in. We're getting most all of our vehicles. We actually doubled our staff as far as our used cars, so we could get them in and out of the shop quicker, make sure they're roadworthy and ready to sell. And then we actually added on to our detail team so we could make sure that we get them fresh and out there on the lot. So we're moving in the right direction, getting the vehicles through the shop, getting them ready, getting them cleaned up, getting them ready to sell.
Well, that's music to your ears, right?
Yes, it's definitely music to our ears. A lot of times, we was getting behind on getting used cars cleaned up, and now you go outside and they on the line. So that gives us opportunity to sell those cars. Sometimes we have people come in and we haven't got them clean yet, and I hate to show one if it's not clean because it could take away from it. So Paul is doing a good job getting that taken care of, and also for us getting them ready to go for mechanically wise, he's doing a great job on that because we're getting a lot of great trade-ins. And
Your selection, though, is much better now on new and used.
Yes, we got a great selection of new vehicles, and like Paul said, Tony and Paul and Mike and Joey, they all out buying cars, and plus we getting these trade-ins because we got our new vehicles, and we got a lot of great trade-ins, and the good trade-in that we're getting there are people that purchase new cars from us. And that's a one-owner vehicle, so that's a great job. And they're not hanging around. I mean, we look at them today, and by this afternoon, they're gone.
Yeah. Well, you've been at this location since about Thanksgiving. That's kind of how I remember it. And I guess for the most part, you've got adjusted now, haven't you?
We're getting there. Still, I had an email yesterday. We don't have our Ford signage as far as where our pre-owned vehicles, our Ford Monument, it's the Hartman Corridor is what that section of town is. So there's restrictions on your signages and stuff, like the big oval up in the air like you've seen over on West Main. There's a restriction there, so our sign will be a monument sign with a Ford oval that will be out on Franklin Road, and then there'll be a monument sign out by the interstate. And then there's a pre-owned sign and stuff like that, and parts and service. I actually had somebody come in and kind of point the parking lot arrows and put some signs up and stuff, because when you come into the facility, you'll pull off Franklin Road. Well, you got to go all the way down by the interstate and go around the front of the showroom to get into the service. So a lot of times people are kind of getting a little confused, but we're getting settled in, but we're still kind of going through the growing pains of things where signs and stuff like that. But it's a really, really nice location, and our service department's much bigger, our lot's much bigger, our inventory's much bigger, so it's made it a really blessing.
Well, it's really a nice facility. I've been in there 2 or 3 times, and really I'm amazed at what a great job you did, and everything is bigger and better, really.
Yeah, and I tell you this, even yesterday for the first time there was this halo that was above the receptionist, and we've been going back and forth with Panasonic because at our service write-up desk, there's TVs which gives you like how much stuff is and things like that. Well, above the receptionist, I was getting billed for something, and it was where it played video, and I said, well, this thing's never had a video on it, so we went back and forth with emails. Well, I had to get a guy come in yesterday, and he went up there and found a short or where it wasn't hooked up correctly and plugged it in, and all of a sudden it's right there. It's pretty neat. When you walk in the front door, you can see it had a Bronco running through the desert and stuff like that, and it's got Ford stuff on it, but it was, it's neat. But that's just kind of the growing pains of us getting settled in over there. Yesterday was the first day we've had this halo working above the receptionist, but it's neat. It really is neat.
We better quickly talk about oil changes and tires and batteries.
Yeah, I had 3 friends yesterday call me for tires. One owns a local landscaping company here in town. The other one has a golf cart business. So we got a lot of tires going on. We got brand new tire machines at our new facility. We actually got double what we had at the other location. So I ordered a lot of tires. As far as our oil changes, if you need an oil change, we do that pickup and delivery service. That's something that we've really done a good job. Shelly's done well at taking advantage. You don't have to bring the vehicle over. We'll come get it, service it for you, bring it back to you. Our oil changes $39.95 up to 5 quarts. We do the Works vehicle package, which is an oil change and a tire rotation for $59.95. We'll meet or beat anybody's price on tires, so we got a lot of stuff going in service.
And great buys on batteries as well.
Great buys on batteries with the best warranty in the business.
Ronnie, the last word in 30 seconds.
And don't forget that we're the dealer that trade for anything that don't eat. And if you got anything you want to turn into cash, bring it to Bakes Ford.
You've been doing that for a long time, and
Right.
still going strong.
Yes.
All right. See y'all next time.
Thank you.
Have a great one. That's Paul Tubbs, General Manager Ronnie Kelly in sales at Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road, the dealer that'll trade for anything you don't eat. We are almost 11 minutes after the hour, and here on this Thursday morning, it is my pleasure to have Lebanon Fire Chief Jason Baird with us. Jason, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
And how are things with you?
It's fantastic. Beautiful morning this morning. Feels great outside. It's going to be a good day. All my staff is excited about March Madness and ready to talk the smack and all that stuff that comes along with that. But we're excited. It's going to be a good day today.
Yeah, they've already had some play-in games, I believe, and that gets you from 68 to 64.
Yes,
Then
sir.
after this weekend, you're down to 32. But that's what it's all about. And do y'all do the brackets and all that?
We do. We're our group is very, very competitive, to say the least. It doesn't matter if it's washing dishes. There's going to be a race. If it's whatever it is, they're going to find a way to get competitive with it. And somebody wins and somebody's going to lose, and whoever loses has to wear it until he wins the next time.
Well, I imagine a lot of the fire department guys are Tennessee fans and looking forward for the Big Orange to go far this time.
We do have a lot of Tennessee fans. We've got some that we've got some. We've got a few that came through Cumberland and come from other states too. We got a Texas fan and Notre Dame fans. I don't know how they got in there, but there's a lot of different variety. But there is probably more Tennessee fans than anything. Florida fans. There's several Florida fans too, and those guys, they'll never be promoted. So so yeah, that's I have a lot of fun with my Florida fans. But there's a lot of sports fans in my department.
Well, it's always good to have you with us, and you are a good storyteller. I don't know whether you got any stories to tell this morning. We don't rehearse much. We come in and say, how you doing, and talk about something till time to go on the air. But as far as what we're going to talk about, really, we don't get into too much of that. But what is going on? What is on your mind this morning?
I want to give a shout out to a certain demographic of your listening audience, the retirees that's in our department. They listen. A lot of my retirees listen to your show, and I'm so thankful for them folks. And sometimes when they get out of the department, they kind of dwindle away, and in time you kind of forget about them. But we do a great job of keeping them involved in the department and their families. Even if there ends up being a widow instead of a firefighter, then we keep up with that family too, and we do a good job of making sure they still feel like they're part of the department. And that's part of from the perspective of being a firefighter. There's so much about it, and it sounds like a cliche, but it is a lifestyle, and because it affects you. You think you're on 24 hours and off 48, but those 48 hours, you're still a firefighter, and and the biggest thing from that perspective is that individual that was in our fire department, and some of the unsung heroes are the families that come along with them. They put up with a lot of stuff for the firefighters, as far as we can be pretty grumpy, pretty grouchy. We don't get a lot of sleep, and nothing's convenient when you're married to a firefighter. You either have to have Christmas most time on the 24th or the 26th, so Thanksgiving's on usually another day for your family, and those are the unsung heroes, is our families too. Our families were, if they wasn't supportive, and a lot of times we hire uncertified firefighters. So we've got young, very, very young families in our department, and we spend a lot of time preparing them for the understanding of what's expected of them and how important it is to keep that family module together as we process through. My young guys never want to take a day off, and they want to be at the fire department, eat, breathe, eat, training, all those type things. But we make sure that they understand that it's important to keep the family dynamic involved in the growth of the employee as they work through the ranks and those type things through the department.
Well, there's a saying, once a blue devil, always a blue devil. This sounds like once a firefighter, always a firefighter, at least in Lebanon.
Yeah, I tell you, I've got some retirees, a lot of them come to mind. Some of them, when they retire, it's just so emotional for them. They can't even drive past the fire station for a few months or something, just because they get emotional, and it means so much, and you put so much into this career, and you get involved so deep into the aspect of relationships with other firefighters. And you got to think they spend 1/3 of the year with each other for 24 hours. And my hiring process, one of my questions is the fact of that, hey, you're going to spend 24 hours in a building with 9 other people. How do you think you're going to handle that situation as far as your personality and those type things? I have come to learn everybody can't be a firefighter, but a lot of people can. It takes some work. You can't approach it as if it's a job. You got to make sure you understand the scope of how large it is, and sometimes personalities just don't mesh, and it takes a special group. And even when they do mesh, it's still good for me as a manager that I put like-minded people and the stations together. It allows to be more cohesive, and it's a better environment as a whole. And when they're in a better environment, they put out a better product. They're a better employee. They're happy. I've told my people so many times, and I've told the mayor even, I manage morale. That's what I do. It's important to me, and I think we do a good job of it. We do a good job of keeping the outside aspects that we can't control compartmentalize, I should say. And then everything we can control, we make sure we keep them motivated and happy and all those type things. So in general, I do have a very happy workforce, and I have learned through my 35 years that I should never take one single day for granted. When my workforce is happy, I need to rejoice in those days, because they can get upside down sometimes for things that we can't control, pay, anything like that. So it's important that we make sure our employees are in a good place and enjoy coming to work every single day.
All right. Lebanon Fire Chief Jason Baird is here. We've got more to talk about in a moment here on Coleman and Company at 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota. They have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the world's #1 selling compact excavator with 0% financing. It's going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Cleanup continues on this 18-wheeler that crashed earlier this morning in Williamson County. It's 840 eastbound ramp to 65 going north down here in Spring Hill. And from the looks of it, it's going to be out here for a while, especially if this thing is loaded. Again, it's got traffic a little bit slow in that section of Spring Hill on 840 east ramp to 65 north. 65 south remains slow. Coming through Millersville, we had some problems up through there earlier. It continues to build in the Mount Juliet area, through Mount Juliet, into Hermitage on 40 going westbound. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Middle Tennessee. Yes, I'm talking about Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. They're online, tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Dead on
Lots of vintage items are being featured in an online auction from Mike Walker Auctions. This is auction number 3 from the Dorothy Hicks estate and includes antique furniture, glassware, kitchenware, tools of all kinds, toys, and a large selection of classic R&B and rock record albums, cassette tapes, and 8-track tapes. Bidding takes place through 3 p.m. Sunday. To view and bid, visit MikeWalkerAuctions.com. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. We continue here on a Thursday morning. We're joined this late Jason Baird is with us. Mr. Baird is our fire chief of the city of Lebanon. And I have to say, I've said a little bit of this off the air to you, but the things that you cover when you come here, things that I hadn't hardly thought about that would be not only going through a fire chief's mind, but that are very important to him and have a lot to do with the product that the fire department is. You must think fire department 24/7.
I do. I have a fire radio in my bedroom. I sleep with the radio on, and I don't get away from it much. But that was installed for me from Reed Hunt Majors. Reed Hunt Majors, if it was a mulch fire at 2 o'clock in the morning, he had a fire phone in his home, and you could hear. Number one, you had to be there to pick the call up because they called directly into the station in those days. And you better not let it ring twice, or more than twice for sure. But you could always hear him on that line listening too. And if you didn't get up and get your boots on and get on the rig, I don't care where it was at, he'd beat you to it. I'm talking about a dumpster fire, mulch fire. That's the customer service side of Lebanon Fire Department that came along before customer service was actually a thing. And I tell you what, Coleman, the things we did back then are still in our department now. And when I say that, it wouldn't be nothing for Reed to call you and at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, Miss such and such on Hammond Street has got a toilet that's running. See if you can go over there and help her. And we'd go over there and we'd help them. And we'd leave there with a gift of some kind most of the time. And it was that part of the job is so fulfilling. And I tell people, my employees, if you'll buy into the job, you'll get more back than you ever give to it. And that's true. I mean, I'm talking about 3 or 4-fold better. And it's just the fact that you have to understand that we will interact with individuals on a day that each person thought would never happen to them. Mm-hmm. You got a 50% chance of having a negative or a positive. And we spent a lot of time preparing that outcome to be a positive outcome. And because it's more than just the call for service, it's when they call you for service, you got the initial interaction, and then you got the continuation of the call, and then you got the follow-up. And the follow-up may be the most important aspect of that call is just because they know that you've been there for the long haul with them, because people, they cannot, when this emergency hits them, they can't think straight. They can't think of everything they need to think of. So you need to have an idea or basically kind of a list that you go through as a firefighter and make sure all those things are covered. And we have that. We go through that process, and you'll see our firefighters will be a whole big large group working on the scene, doing things, and then you'll see probably most of the time an officer, lieutenant, captain, or shift commander to the side with a family member explaining to them what's happening and then what's going to happen and then what the outcome is going to be either way or the other. So it's a large thing that goes on a call from every perspective, and we try to cover our bases on every aspect.
Well, it's said, and I think it is true, you can't please everybody. Every once in a while, there's probably a negative comment or two, regardless of how well you're trying to do things. How do you handle that?
Well, there is, and usually I get a phone call or a message once a week on on either a firefighter tag on the back of a vehicle, somebody speeding through town, and those type things, and we address those. And normally when I have a complaint, and it's usually sometimes I can go to and meet with them and talk to them and explain to them exactly what was going on at that time. The last one I had was one of my officers got complained upon about speeding through a church parking lot, and so what the church clientele didn't understand is right behind the church was a house that a lady had called about and said their smoke detector her oxygen bottle alarm was going off. Well, it actually was her smoke detectors going off, and she had 2 pots of hot dogs on the stove burning up, and she didn't realize it. And so actually the fire department employee was going down West Main, seen the smoke through Hammond Avenue all the way on Hill Street, because it was on Hill Street, and he shot through the church parking lot right there. And so I got a call, and I talked to him, explained everything to him. Everything went fantastic. We called 2 days later, set up a time for our fire engines to go to the church and do a kind of a touch a truck kind of thing for the preschool to come out and go through our fire engine and all those type things. And so they were very appreciative of that. And then I got a coffee invite after that. So it's a process. It's a process. But as hard as we work to keep our workforce happy, these are the people that, the fire department does not generate revenue, and we have to be in the mindset that these people pay for everything we have, our lifestyle, everything our family needs, all our tools to be successful with. The city taxpayers pay for that, and that's been one of the hardest things for me as a fire chief, to understand I'm part of something that does not generate revenue. So every time I ask for something, I do a ton of work and research on it, because I almost feel guilty at times about some of it, but we do a lot of research on it. Don't ask for anything we don't need. It's not everything we ask for we need. And so the interaction we have with the city constituents is the utmost important to us. And most of the time it carries on through to another encounter in some way, either us coming to that site or something.
Can this mindset, this way of this modus operandi that you have, can that stay in place regardless of how much we grow here?
I'm worried about it. I am. I kind of gauge it on the type of employee that I have applying for a job now. Fire service is so different than everything else that you're involved in life. Fire service still has the mindset that we're part of something that's bigger than self, and that mindset's not out there anymore. We're about self-gratitude. The minute you want it, you need it, you got to have it. And our guys still put the department first, and that is unheard of this day and time. And, I do see some of that trickling in a little bit, but as long as our core stays together the way it is now, I've been there 35 years, and I'll say the qualities, when Reed Hunt and Henry Preston and those folks was coming through the ranks and growing the department, probably before they retired, they were like, I can't believe society's got like this now. And here we are now, I'm saying the same thing. But to that aspect of it, the things that was going on in our department 35 years ago are still going on today. So that's very positive for me and for my workforce and from my officers' perspective, that we can make it through all this and keep going with this type of level of service.
Got to ask you one other thing here. Do other departments and places our size, maybe, do they do like you do? Do maybe you set such a good example they want to copy you, or are they just different because they're in a different location? I'm wondering if everybody has the same mindset and tries to put it into practice as you're doing here.
I don't. It's the fire service in general has that core, but I do think, and I teach my officers when they take over a fire engine, the demeanor of those employees in that fire engine is going to be the exact demeanor that officer has. So if he's positive, and even my people that don't hold a rank, if they're basically a de facto leader, and people follow them, if they have a positive attitude, then that will carry through. In other departments, I've had some things happen to me in the last year that's never happened to me. We've lost some people with lateral moves to other departments, and And it's because of that type quality of employee. What's different from us and everyone else is I hire an uncertified employee, and we grow them from the ground up. And that allows us to install that into that employee. And when I hire, I tell every employee, I get done with my interview process, I'll say, make me hire you. Tell me what it is about you that's going to make me hire you. And what's going to make you stay with us for 30 years, because that's our goal. And every single employee I hire, I want to be in our department for 30 years. I want that family name to be in our department for 30 years. Whatever that name is, if it can be anything. The Baird name, the Dow name, all those things are still in our department. I want them to be here forever, and because it takes, I'm proud of that aspect, that type of character is in our department, and other departments want it, and I'm doing my best to fend them off, and with a little help of the city council and the mayor, I will be successful.
We have come to the end of our time. Appreciate you being with us. We'll see you next time, whenever that is, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Jason Baird, our fire chief for the city of Lebanon. That is part one of Coleman and Company. Part two is coming up, so please stay tuned here on FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. We want to thank our friends at Bates Ford. Low price tire guaranteed on all tires every day up to 30 days after the sale. There'll be any competitor's pricing on the tires they sell. 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We're still looking live at this 18-wheeler that crashed this morning down in Williamson County, the Spring Hill area. It's 840 eastbound ramp to 65 northbound. It's just dangling off the interstate there. And what cargo it was carrying slid out the back. So it's going to be out here for the rest of the morning, guaranteed, possibly for a while longer after that. Again, it's 840 eastbound ramp to 65 north here in Williamson County. Still crawling sometimes on 65 southbound down through Millersville. It's building pretty good now. The Hermitage area, all that traffic coming in from Wilson County, Mount Juliet, arriving there in Hermitage on 40 going westbound. Princess Hot Chicken's got you covered with catering. Check them out today at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The cozy warmth after coming in from a chilly, pink-cheeked morning walk. The perfect man cave temperature to kick back and watch the big game. When the weather turns cold, a new Rheem heating system will surround your family in total comfort. Are you feeling it? Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Feel year-round comfort with a new HVAC system installed by the pros at Randy's Heat and Air. We're the local team you can trust. Call Randy's Heat and Air today at 615-237-3604.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
A little bit of frost early this morning, then some mostly sunny skies, warming up to about 65 today. Tonight, mostly cloudy, back down to around 45. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction of real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm Stormy Clausen.
Welcome to part two of Coleman Company here on a Thursday morning. It's time for us to spend a little time with our friends from A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction, 728 West Main, two off the Middle East. I want to thank the main two, at least as far as we're concerned, because they're here more than anybody else. But Jay White's with us. Jay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
And we have Helene Singer-Cash here. Good morning, Helene.
Good morning, Coleman.
All right. A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction, 728 West Main. Website, www.agandjohnson.com, and that phone number is
615-444-0909.
Well, Jay, get us started.
Okay, Coleman, I will. I guess we'll start out this coming Saturday morning. We'll be out on Bell Road in the Watertown community, kind of east of town here. We've got a big sale up there this week. It starts at 10 o'clock Saturday morning on the 23rd. We've got older vintage vehicles, we've got a lot of older vintage farm machinery and furniture and collectibles. We're going to be there most of the day. I hadn't planned another thing to do all day Saturday, but
some of that maybe have antique written on it.
Well, it probably most everything there is going to have antique stamped on it. I mean, everything. We've got a 35 Chevrolet pickup truck. If you need some parts for one, I don't think it's it may be it's probably one that if you've got one that you're redoing that you might want to take a look at if you need some parts. But we've also got a 27 Ford Model T, a 1-ton Model T that we're going to sell, and that's probably the oldest vehicle that we've sold at auction in my tenure in 35 years. I don't think we've sold anything. We've sold a Model A in the past, and they're just a little newer than the T models. But this is an old T model. Be a fun little project for somebody if they like older cars. So it's got the wood wheels, and and it's got the crank out on the front of it to get it started. There's a lot to be said for these newer vehicles today.
There's no cranks.
A lot to be said for that. And we've got tractors and equipment. Older equipment. If you're in a thrashing machine, Coleman, can you remember when the old thrashing machines?
Yes, I do. The Halberts out between Centerville and Taylorsville, they had a big thrashing machine. I've seen it operate.
Well, they're still farm out there. We need to call them, tell them we got a thrasher we're going to sell up there. They may want to need enough. But if you're in just some very unusual pieces. I mean, some of these pieces, were very common years ago, but you don't get the opportunity to sell them like you did. So we're really excited to go up there Saturday, spend most of the day up there selling these collectibles, and come out and be with us. And then the following week, the week after that, we're going out of town to Antioch. We'll talk about it a little more next week, but we got a nice brick house over in Antioch and some personal property over there. So anyway.
All right, Helene, I know has a little she wants to offer this morning. She always does, at least a little, maybe a lot.
You never know what I'm going to do. But, we started talking about monthly home maintenance in the month of March. We're going to talk about some home maintenance. So we're going to have 3 items this month to talk about. We're going to talk about inspect your home's exterior. Winter weather. So we're going to say tree roots. You want to make sure you want to look at where your tree roots are, because before the green grass starts growing up and all your bushes start growing, it's a good time to start looking at the tree roots before things start creeping up and growing around. You can see where they're affecting your concrete and your aggregate. So check your tree roots. Head out on the roof so you can, if you don't want to crawl on your roof, don't do it. You can call your roofer. Perfect timing. And your tree health inspection. So tree roots, tree health, and your roof. These are the 3 things that you're going to look at in the month of March.
All right.
So that's your home health, your monthly home maintenance inspection. But if you are looking to upsize or downsize, if you want to look at listing your home, or if you want to look at anything like that, give us a call. But here's the other thing. We've had this conversation so many times. If you're not sure if it's time to have an auction, or if you want to list your home to traditional way or through an auction, give us a call. We can come out and talk to you about the process, which is best for you, whether it's a traditional listing or an auction. We can walk you through the process. Oh my gosh, I'm stammering this morning, Coleman. The process, we can talk you through the process, because everyone's situation is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And the process is a little different for everyone. So you can figure out what's best for you.
And the thing about it, you do both.
We do both.
So
yes.
If it's an auction, you're right here to take care of it. If you're going to go the other way, you do that. You got a lot of people to help in that regard.
Absolutely, because everyone's situation is unique.
Yeah.
Everyone's needs are different.
All right. Hope you have much success. We'll do it again next Thursday.
Absolutely.
And remember, the phone number again is
615-444-0909.
And the website, of course, with a lot of information, more than we can talk about here in 5 or 6 minutes, www.agandjohnson.com. And just remember, 728 West Main in Lebanon, and community trusted since 1977. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coleman.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we are about 22 before the hour, and Tim Leeper is here. He was sort of referred to indirectly a couple of minutes ago when we were talking about roofing. But, Tim, it is good to see you, and welcome back.
Thank you.
You've, the reason you weren't here earlier in the month was the fact that you had a little surgery, and looks like you've come through that okay.
Yeah, I had a sinus surgery. We did all the things. So if there was something that could be done, I wanted it done once and for all. I'd had a small procedure that I thought would corrected this a few years ago. It didn't work, and so this time I was back, and I said, I just need you to do it all. So it was a pretty honestly, it's pretty reasonably simple surgery. Did a little bit of aftercare to be done, but I was back up and walking around in a day or two.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're still roofing, and I guess you're staying busy, and hopefully as busy as you want to. But roofs are important.
They are. It's been weird. It's not been quite as busy as I've expected it, as I've come to be used to it this year. This spring, usually around March, mid-March, we're going pretty good. And, it's just not where I thought it might be this time of year. The residential side is kind of lagging behind. The commercial side's going along pretty good, but the residential side is really just kind of slowly moving.
Anything you can attribute that to?
Well, I don't know if you can attribute it to interest rates or not. I don't know that they help, but people just are not putting roofs on as much. Now, we're getting a ton of repair calls, and that's typical of what happens, when people want to kind of tighten up and hold up with their money. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're just holding their money a little bit longer or what they're doing, or if they're just waiting for the next storm to come in so the insurance company can pay for it. But either way, it is not what we would expect this time of year for the residential market.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the repair work that you might do if somebody's not going to, if they choose not to do the new roof now and think, a little repair will help us. What all we might be talking about here?
Well, most of the things that I go and look at are metal roofs. I'll look at some shingle roofs from time to time, but I'll look at a lot of metal roofs, and what I find a lot of times on the metal is where you have two different pitches. You have a lower pitch going to a steeper pitch. A lot of times people won't put the metal transitional flashing in there. They just put the two pieces of metal together because it's easier and it's faster and it's cheaper. And we have leaks all the time there. So we fix those on a regular basis. I at least look at one or two of those a week. Looked at one yesterday in East Nashville.
And how do you fix them then? I mean, you do put in what should have been in the beginning?
Yeah, we call it a pitch transition. It's very technical, pitch transition. And you just have a piece of metal that goes, it's pitched the same as the roof. And so half of it goes on top of the roof on the bottom, and the other half goes under the roof at the top, and basically it catches all that rainwater and just keeps it from going back into that joint the way it's not designed to go. But you'd be surprised how many roofs, I bet you of 10 roofs we look at, 8 of them are just done without a pitch transition. It's too fast and easy and cheap to do them that way. So
how do they get by with that?
I mean, how do they get by with a lot of stuff they do? Those are things that keep us
most
working.
People don't know roofs like you as a roofer does. So I guess that's a starting point, to say the least.
Yeah, it's a starting point. And people who do things like that keep us in business. We'll go back and do repairs on those, a couple of years after the roof's been put on, and people scratching their head can't understand why this roof that they've just put on 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago is giving them a problem. It shouldn't be, but here we are, with the leak in a newer roof.
Yeah. Well, I did see somebody was asking on the social media, could they recommend a good roofer? and somebody else, actually a friend of mine, probably a friend of yours, but anyway, he just had 2 words, Tim Leeper.
Yeah.
You got to appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that. We get good referrals, but a lot of people have either had direct relationship with us. They've used us for repairs or maybe even replacement, or they had friends that have. And, we work very hard to preserve the relationship we have and the status that we have for our Google reviews and things like that. Those things are important when people start looking to spend, $5, $10, $20, $30,000 even on some of these roofs. They want to know that they're going to be spending money with somebody who they feel comfortable with.
And how long have you actually been doing this?
Oh, I've been doing it for around 30 years. But I've had my own company for 20 years.
Yeah.
So 20 of those 30 years, I've been doing it for myself.
And we talk more. It seems like we do talk a little bit more about metal roofs now than we did even when you started coming out here. Mm-hmm. That is the trend really to metal roofs?
Well, I don't know that the trend's metal roofs. I just think people have got good walking around sense. At least will consider it. Metal roofs are just going to last so much longer than a shingle roof. Look, I've made a decent living putting shingle roofs on houses, but that's because that's what the market dictates. They want to put on a shingle roof. They don't want to spend the extra money to put a metal roof on, by and large. And so our job is to go out there and give them both versions. Hey, we can do this shingle roof for $12,000, or we can do this metal roof for $14,000, or $14,500, and one of these is going to way outlast the other. One of these is not like the other, and it's my job to just explain that to them.
You pretty much leave it up to them then to make the decision. You really try to influence them one way or the other?
Not at all. I just give them what we do when we go out to tell people about a roof is we just give them the facts, the old dragnet, nothing but the facts, ma'am.
Yeah.
And so we just give them the facts about what they can expect from each roofing system, and then it's their home. What makes sense for them. They might be leaving the home in 2 or 3 years and moving to Cleveland, and so we don't know what their long-term plans are, but they're going to be there any length of time. We at least try to leave them with the impression that a metal roof is certainly the way to go.
Yeah. Okay, Tim Leeper is with us, and it is time for us to take a break. You are listening to Coleman and Company here on FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota. Absolute Kubota has a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the world's #1 selling compact excavator plus 0% financing. It's going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's building out here where you would expect this time of the morning on 24 westbound. Coming out of Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, up through the Antioch area. 65 south still wants to be a little bit sluggish from time to time down through Millersville. Now it has really increased over here through Mount Juliet, or coming out of Mount Juliet into Hermitage on 40 going westbound. Got all that traffic this time of the morning leaving Wilson County towards Nashville. Prince's Hot Chicken is hiring at all their locations. Order online today at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, this is Paul with Bates Ford, and I've got some exciting news for you. Bates Ford's moved into our new location at 1780 Franklin Road. That's right, Bates Ford's at 1780 Franklin Road, just off Hartman Drive and Interstate 40. We've got a much larger selection of vehicles to choose from, a state-of-the-art double-sized service department. So come see us at 1780 Franklin Road. That's Bates Ford, 615-444-8221. Bates Ford, a dealer that'll trade for anything that don't eat.
Are you thinking about buying a new home? Let A.G. & Johnson assist you with your new home search. From the first-time home buyer to the empty nester, we are experienced in all facets of the home buying process. We will be with you every step of the way. No matter if you are buying, selling, downsizing, or upsizing, we can assist you with your real estate needs. Call us at 615-444-0909 or find us online at agandjohnson.com or Facebook A.G. & Johnson Realty. A.G. & Johnson is your community's trusted realty and auction company.
We continue here on this Thursday. Thanks for joining us. Tim Leeper Roofing, Mama's Metal Roofing. You still go by that on both your businesses, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
That's what my notes here say.
Yeah.
Tim Leeper Roofing, Mama's Metal Roofing, and You have really, the times you've been here, I think you have explained very well the difference between shingle roofs and metal roofing. And, of course, there's a difference in cost and a difference in longevity. And we see a lot of each.
We do. More than anything, we talk a lot about roof costs, but probably 70% of our calls are for repairs. Yeah. And so that's really where we spend most of our time. Had a young lady yesterday. We went out to East Nashville to take a look at a metal roofing project, and she had a leak, and she'd had some condensation in wet plywood and couldn't figure it out. Somebody had put an addition on their house, and it was a head scratcher. It didn't make any sense. It didn't line up with the other part of the house. It was just, I almost wanted to tell her, let's just take the top off this thing and reframe it to make more sense. I didn't do that, but we're going to end up taking a section of her roof off. We're going to reuse and repurpose the metal that she's got there, change out the deck, and do some other things. It was a fairly intensive repair. However, it didn't even, get close to the cost of what a new roof would cost. Uh-huh. And so just some maintenance on those, even those metal roofs, will go a long way. A lot of times I can just overhaul a metal roof, change out the screws, do just a few minor things and get them another 20 years out of that metal roof versus, if I change out a pipe boot, I might buy you 2 years on your shingle roof. And so there's a big difference.
Well, what's the future? Are we really, in 10, 15, 20 years, there are going to be a lot more metal roofs than there are now?
I'd love to think that, but the trend's been coming for a long time. We hear all these things that are coming out of California. All these green initiatives, and somehow they just fizzle before they get here a lot of times. And so, solar panels were going to be the way of the future 20 years ago. And there's to some degree they've reached here, but we haven't. We don't do that by and large a lot.
Right.
And so, metal roofing was supposed to be, the big thing. But, look at years and years ago, these things have been going on for well over 100 years. I don't know how long, but, you see these old 5V panels on people's houses. And that's because in the rural areas, that's what they used to put on barns. Yeah. And they figured if it worked for the barn, they didn't have to fix it as much. They'd put it on their houses. And so you've got so much of it in these rural areas. It's just good waterproofing. It lasts a long, long time. And they don't care if it's pretty. They just care that it keeps the water out of the house. Mm-hmm.
What's going on in your business life besides roofing? You're still a Rotarian, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there this morning. I have moved from the lunch club to the breakfast club. That club seems to work better for my schedule. Never thought I'd say that out loud, but I always thought that anybody that get up for a meeting at 6:45 in the morning, something was off with them. And now I'm one of those people.
You got any other extracurricular projects that you're working on you want to talk about?
We have. There's a couple things. The Ducky Derby is coming up in May. I couldn't tell you which day in May. I'm not sure. I know we're sponsoring, but we're going to be out of town for that. And so the Ducky Derby is coming up, and even though we're not going to be there and we're sponsoring, I know that's always a big fun event for the community, and I still have to buy some ducks. I think the ducks are $10 a piece. Mm-hmm. So Karen Rudzinski can tell you.
Yeah, she was out here just, I guess, within the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
We talked about that and hoping, she'd love to sell all. I believe there's 5,000.
5,000. Yeah. I don't know that we've ever sold all of them.
That's what he said, never have.
The year that I was president, I want to say we sold around 3,600. I don't know that that's the most, and it doesn't matter. The point is, I didn't sell them out either, and so I'd love to see them sell all 5,000 ducks. That would be very, very cool. It's a good fundraiser for them. And, Karen, I say this from time to time, Karen's done a really good job with the Help Center. She has come along, and they've made some changes and moved some things around, but she's done an amazing job over there. So I just wanted to say that while we're talking about the Ducky Derby.
Yeah. What's your Rotary involved in? Anything particular right now?
Well, as a Rotary,
Let's see. The Noon had the 100-year celebration
a couple years ago.
Yeah, and but both are going strong. You've got really good membership in both. I don't know what it is about Rotary, but it's at least in this area. We got to admit. I mean, I've been a Kiwanis, I've been a Lion, still a Lion, a life member. Don't participate as much as I used to, but. It seems the others are begging for members. Y'all always don't have that problem. There's something about Rotary that I can't explain.
Well, I'm not sure that I can put my finger on it, but it's just a good group. It's a solid group of people who care about about their community, as do the other clubs. But, that's the common thing that the Rotarians have, and they want to see good work being done. And most of the time, if you see events, you can see them participating in those community events. There is going to be, I think Wilson's having the St. Patrick's Gala tonight. I believe it's at the Capitol Theater, and so we'll be participating in that, and multiple Rotarians will also be there, some even at our table. But no, Rotary is just a group of like-minded people who want to see good things happening in their community. And there is one other event that we have coming up. We hadn't talked a lot about this. We did last year, but on October 12th, we're having the second annual Boots and Shoot, which is going to be out at the Phillips Farm at the event center out there, which is undergoing some nice renovations right now. It has new ownership for the first time in a lot of years, probably 40 years. And they're really upgrading that facility out there. And I believe it's going to be really nice. I mean, they're getting, weddings, events, all kinds of things. I mean, shooting events, in our case, that we're going to have. So we're really excited to see what that's going to look like and to see how our second year will be so much different from the first, because they've created so many improvements out there. But October 12th is when that's going to be. We've got probably 20 teams already signed up for this year's event, and we might do a third flight this year. If we do 3 flights, then you're looking at, I can't remember if it's 12 or I think it's 12. So about 36 teams, will probably max us out this year. And so we're already over halfway, but we've been over halfway since about the week after the last shoot. But it's time to go ahead and start planning and putting a few things together. So Sue Ann's been talking about that.
That's one of the things that is so important about an event like this: planning ahead and starting in plenty of time, so that you're not rushed at the end, not any more than you have to be. And I think you were very successful in your initial one, and so this one's just going to be bigger and better.
I think so. There'll probably be a few changes, but for the good. We'll add a few things and shift a few things around. But, to be able to have that third flight of shooters, if we're able to pull that off. And one of the things we hadn't really told a lot of people yet, but, I'll go ahead and tell you, I think this may be the first public announcement, is we've discussed go ahead and making it a pro-am, where we have a pro shooter on every team. And so basically you have a built-in safety person on each team for gun safety and things like that, which we had no issues last year, but we didn't have that pro everywhere. We just had them floating around with the teams. Most of our folks were out there, were safe and understood gun safety, but this year we'll have that built in, as well as have a really good shooter on your team. So they'll still be 5-person teams, just be 4-man shooters, and then your pro. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the scores change this year to last year.
Well, we know March Madness is going on right now, which pertains to basketball, and a lot of attention is focused on that, and will be for a few weeks here. But it's just a few days till the baseball season starts, and I'm thinking the Reds are going to be in the mix this year.
Well, I hope you're right. I hadn't been really following it, but I don't even know who we've added, or I think we've lost Joey Votto. Is that right?
Joey Votto is with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
In his first at bat in spring training, he hit a home run. But I hadn't heard much more out of him. I don't. I love the guy. I think he's been a great player. He probably has credentials. It's close, but I think he has credentials to be in the Hall of Fame. I hope he makes it. But there's a time to hang it up, and in my opinion, now's the time. I think he should have just retired and gone on, but he wants to play, so
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, you can still play. It's kind of like that scene in Moneyball when he says, everybody's told at some point they're not going to be able to play the kid's game. We don't know when that's going to be, and he doesn't know when it's going to be, and so he just wants to ride it as long as he can.
Well, we will let's close out like we started, talking about Tim Leeper Roofing and Mama's Metal Roofing. You've been in business, your own business, for 20 years, been a roofer for 30. The experience means a lot, no doubt. It seems like you've got an answer for every roofing problem.
Well, I don't know if I've got an answer for every roofing problem, but there's plenty of problems out there that present themselves, and if you find yourself in that position, please do give us a call, even if you're not sure, and we can walk you through it. And one other thing, if I've got the time, I have a new guy that I'm onboarding.
We got a minute. Okay.
On the metal roofing side. His name's Logan Vastolin. So Logan's going to come on with me on the roofing side. We'll talk about this maybe next time, but there's a story behind the reason that I created this metal roofing company, and I'll tell you more about that and what part Logan plays in that, and how he is going to kind of shape the future of the metal roofing company with us.
Okay. All right. Well, we will look forward to that. In the meantime, your cell phone is where you get most calls, right? 615-372-4713. 372-4713 for Tim Leeper Roofing or Mama's Metal Roofing. It'll get you either one, right?
That's it.
Okay. Well, thanks for being with us. And that is going to do it for our Thursday edition, and we invite you to join us tomorrow for Coleman and Company. Till then, I wish you a tremendous day.
It's our Halloween special.
I got it wrong.
We'll be playing all your favorite Halloween songs.
It's alive!
Halloween night beginning at 5 p.m.
Happy Halloween, darling.
Tune in if you dare.
Halloween's my kind of a holiday.